Hello, one and all, and welcome to this week's The Longevity Lab MD podcast. This week on the show, we're joined by Dr. Ari Saheb. He's here to break down the world of biohacking with us. It's a topic that's been getting a ton of buzz lately, and we're diving into some of the fascinating ways people are trying to upgrade their health and performance.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ari. Yup, really excited to be here and looking forward to diving into this conversation with you.
You know that feeling, that little spark of curiosity about how we can not just stick around longer, but really thrive while we're doing it. It's something I find myself pondering quite a bit, and I bet it crosses your mind too. That's what pulls us into this fascinating arena of biohacking.
It really is about tapping into our inherent biological potential. Think of biohacking as using the tools of science and technology to get, a deeper understanding of our bodies,
Right.
and then making informed tweaks to optimize our health and well-being from the inside out.
Exactly. And today, we're plunging into some of the really talked about and crucially science-backed biohacking methods, the ones generating buzz around boosting our health span and maybe, just maybe, dialing back our biological clock a bit.
Yeah, we've been looking at some really interesting research and also the personal practices of some leading figures in this longevity field.
We have. And, as we get into these sometimes complex ideas, it's good to remember that everyone listening might be coming from different places in terms of technical know-how.
Absolutely. So our goal today is really just to keep things clear, keep it engaging, and steer clear of overwhelming jargon if we can.
Couldn't agree more. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Give you a solid and interesting overview of several key biohacking techniques. We'll look at the science and also peek into what people like Brian Johnson, David Sinclair, and Peter Attia are actually doing and saying.
So hopefully by the end of our chat, you'll have a clearer perspective on what might be relevant for your own, personal health journey.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with someone who has really become, kind of a focal point in this whole world of pushing biological limits, Brian Johnson.
Yes, Brian Johnson. His blueprint protocol has definitely sparked a lot of conversation. He's essentially treating his own body as this highly controlled experiment, right?
Right.
Meticulously tracking just a vast array of biological markers in his quest to slow down or maybe even reverse the aging process.
Yeah, it's intense. And a cornerstone of his blueprint is really optimizing his sleep. He even calls himself a professional sleeper, which I find kind of amusing.
He does. And he's incredibly diligent about tracking his sleep quality. He uses a Whoop band, looking at metrics like heart rate variability.
That's the variation between heartbeats, right? A marker of nervous system balance.
Exactly. And also his sleep stages, overall recovery score. He structures his entire day really around getting that perfect night's sleep.
What's so interesting about his approach is just the unwavering commitment to the basics of good sleep hygiene.
It is. He sticks to a strict, consistent bedtime, cuts out artificial light in the evenings. For melatonin production, eats dinner early, makes sure his room is cool and dark.
All the things we know we should do.
Pretty much. And he gets morning sunlight to set his circadian rhythm. Basic stuff, maybe, but he executes it with extreme precision.
And it's not just about feeling good the next day, is it? We saw that 2017 meta-analysis linking sleep problems to a higher risk of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that really underscores how critical prioritizing sleep is for long-term brain health. It's fundamental.
Okay, so shifting to diet. He's on a very regimented plant-based plan, right?
Yeah.
Consuming huge amounts of specific foods.
Huge amounts is right. Legumes, green leafy vegetables, fruit reportedly around 70 pounds every single month. It's a very specific nutritional strategy.
70 pounds, wow.
Yeah, and, the broader science does generally support plant-rich diets for lowering risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, even overall mortality.
So his extreme version is kind of taking that general principle and really targeting it.
Kind of, yeah. Focusing on specific nutrients to influence aging pathways, though, of course, the long-term effects and whether it suits everyone, that needs more research.
And he combines this super specific diet with intermittent fasting, doesn't he?
He does. He eats all his calories within a tight 5-hour window, typically 6 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Which gives him a 19-hour fast each day.
Exactly. The idea there is to promote autophagy.
Which is like the body's cellular cleanup crew, getting rid of damaged cells.
Precisely. Yeah, like a cellular spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Research does suggest it can improve insulin sensitivity, maybe lower the risk of some age-related diseases.
But there's always a but, isn't it?
Well, yup, you are right. It's important to note, as our sources point out, that this kind of fasting might not be suitable for everyone. Particularly for women, there can be concerns about hormonal balance.
Right.
And honestly, Johnson's super strict personalized plan, it's probably not the right fit or even sustainable for most people's lives.
That's a really crucial point. These things are so individual. Okay, next pillar. Exercise. His daily routine. An hour every day.
Every single day, an hour-long workout, 25 different exercises targeting all the major muscle groups. It's a significant commitment.
Definitely. And he focuses on heart rate zones too.
He carefully structures it to spend specific amounts of time in light, moderate, and vigorous zones.
Which seems like a balanced approach for cardio health, endurance, fat burning.
Generally, yes. That kind of balance is considered beneficial. Of course, the ideal time in each zone can vary a lot depending on your age, fitness level, goals.
Okay, this is where my head starts to spin a little. The supplements? Brian Johnson's protocol. It was over 100 daily supplements at one point.
It was. Now, it's apparently streamlined to around 30 with his blueprint stack, but still, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And this 30 is still quite a handful.
It's a highly complex regimen. It includes things like nootropics for cognitive function and adaptogens meant to help with stress.
And this isn't just him picking things off the shelf, right? There's a team involved.
Right. A team of doctors and specialists using principles of nutrigenomics, basically how nutrition interacts with your genes. His stack does include some well-researched things like NAD+.
NAD+. Yeah, we hear a lot about that for cellular energy and DNA repair.
Exactly. But it's worth pointing out the evidence for some of the other things he takes, like calcium alpha-ketoglutarate or lithium orotate, it's a bit thinner, let's say. Still emerging?
And the cost, just for the supplements, it's estimated around $600 a month.
Yeah, that's the figure mentioned. It's a significant financial investment for sure.
Which leads to the obvious but essential advice.
Absolutely essential. Talk to your doctor, consult a qualified healthcare professional before even thinking about replicating something like this. You need to ensure it's safe and it's right for you.
Couldn't stress that enough. Moving beyond pills.
Okay.
Red light therapy. He uses that quite a bit too.
Extensively, yeah.
Yeah.
Different devices, a cap for hair growth, panels for skin, even full body setups, specific light frequencies, specific durations.
It sounds pretty high-tech. What are the claimed benefits?
They're pretty wide-ranging, boosting cellular energy, reducing inflammation, speeding up wound healing, improving skin, hair growth, helping muscle repair. Interestingly, LeBron James apparently uses it too.
Oh, really? So it's crossing over into elite sports as well.
It seems so. The idea, though it's still being actively researched, is that the light stimulates mitochondria. The cell's powerhouses may be boosting their energy production.
Giving them a little boost. Okay.
And it might also help calm inflammation. Johnson also does microneedling, often with hyaluronic acid, to boost collagen for skin and hair health.
Now, let's touch on some of the more unconventional parts of his blueprint. Stem cell therapy.
Yeah, he's ventured into that. Traveling outside the U.S. for injections of mesenchymal stem cells, mostly aiming to treat joint pain.
And how solid is the science on that for joint pain?
Well, that's where it gets more debated in the scientific community. While these stem cells can turn into different cell types, the evidence for them effectively treating general joint pain this way is still pretty limited.
So some expert skepticism there.
Definitely skepticism from many experts, yeah. Plus, you've got the high cost and potential risks of unforeseen side effects.
Okay, and then there's the gene editing therapy.
Yeah.
To boost follistatin for muscle growth.
Right. Aiming to increase follistatin, a protein linked to muscle growth and tissue repair. His levels reportedly did increase significantly after.
That sounds very experimental.
Oh, extremely experimental and expensive. And it raises all sorts of ethical and safety questions about using gene editing for longevity. It's definitely not a standard practice.
So that's quite different from his use of whole genome sequencing, right? That seems more established.
Exactly. Whole genome sequencing is a much more scientifically grounded way to get insights into your genetic predispositions. He partnered with a company called Nucleus for that.
And that gives more detailed info than, say, a typical consumer DNA test.
Generally, yes. It aims for a more comprehensive analysis, clinical-grade results, even connecting you with physicians for consultation. Genetic testing can be a really valuable tool for personalizing health decisions based on your unique genes.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about something that seems perhaps a little more accessible for many of us. Cold therapy. Ice baths, cold plunges, they're everywhere now.
They really are. Cold therapy in its various forms has gained huge attention, and there's actually a growing body of science looking into the benefits.
It's like that University of Ottawa study.
Precisely. They found that just 7 days of cold water immersion, which it was 14 degrees Celsius for an hour, it significantly improved cellular resilience and autophagic function in young men.
Autophagy again, the cellular cleanup.
Right. So it suggests that repeated cold exposure can actually train ourselves to handle stress better, which could, potentially boost overall health and longevity at a really basic cellular level.
Wow, like a cellular boot camp. That sounds pretty cool. So what's actually happening in our bodies when we hit that cold water?
Well, there's a whole cascade of responses. First, your blood vessels constrict. Blood vessel constriction keeps heat in, heart rate and blood pressure go up. Then you get a release of norepinephrine.
Right.
That's a neurotransmitter that boosts alertness, focus, can reduce pain, even lift your mood.
So that explains the energized feeling people talk about.
Partly, yeah. Plus, cold can activate brown adipose tissue, brown fat, which is linked to better insulin sensitivity and a higher metabolic rate. And you also get endorphins, those natural pain relievers that can create a sense of well-being.
So it's way more than just, feeling cold. What are the different ways people do this?
There's quite a range. Cold showers are maybe the easiest starting point, good for circulation, maybe immune function, mental alertness.
Just turn the tap at the end.
Exactly. Then you have ice baths, more intense, popular for muscle soreness and inflammation. Athletes like LeBron James reportedly use them. Cryotherapy chambers use extremely cold air for short bursts, also for inflammation and pain. Then there's outdoor cold water swimming, which people enjoy for physical and mental benefits, even just ice water facials for skin stuff.
And how does this link specifically to longevity?
Several potential ways. Better circulation helps tissue health. Reducing chronic inflammation, which we know is a big driver of aging, is another key aspect.
Right.
And then there's that idea of hormones we touched on.
Yep.
That mild controlled stress, like a brief cold shock, triggers adaptive responses that make cells more resilient over time.
Interesting. Now we hear a lot about heat therapy too, like saunas. How does that compare?
They're kind of opposites physiologically. Hot therapy, like saunas or hot baths, causes vasodilation, blood vessels widen. That increases blood flow, relaxes muscles, helps with pain.
So cold constricts, heat expands.
Basically, yeah. And some people do contrast therapy, alternating hot and cold to really stimulate circulation and lymphatic drainage, maybe help with recovery.
And the Wim Hof method that combines the cold with breathing and meditation, right?
Exactly. Wim Hof has become really popular. It claims to boost the immune response, increase energy, reduce stress, improve endurance, help manage pain. It's a whole system integrating the cold with specific breathing and mindset techniques.
So if someone listening is intrigued, wants to maybe dip their toe in, literally, where should they start?
Definitely start gradually. Listen to your body. Shorter exposures, less extreme temps first. Maybe just the last 30 seconds of your shower, make it cold.
Okay, ease into it.
Yeah, and consistency is probably more important than duration, especially at the beginning. You could try it after exercise for recovery, or maybe first thing in the morning for that energy boost.
But safety first, always.
Absolutely. Talk to a healthcare professional before starting anything intense like this. especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Good advice. Okay, we mentioned it earlier with Brian Johnson and LeBron, but let's quickly revisit red light therapy. It seems to be popping up more.
Yeah, it's definitely gaining traction. The idea is it helps cell repair, reduces inflammation, maybe eases pain, and boosts mitochondrial ATP production. That's cellular energy currency.
Right, and fasting also keeps coming up. Brian Johnson's intermittent fasting is a big part of his plan.
It is. Intermittent fasting, like Johnson does, is taught to help with longevity through autophagy, that cleanup process, and improving metabolic health markers.
Okay, now let's get deeper into supplements again, but maybe focus on a couple that get a lot of airtime. NMN and omega-3s. David Sinclair is big on NMN, isn't he?
Dr. David Sinclair, who's a prominent researcher in aging genetics, includes nicotinamide mononucleotide NMN in his own supplement routine. He takes, I believe, 1 gram a day, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. And NMN is a precursor to NAD+, right? Which we need for energy, DNA repair, all that crucial stuff.
Exactly. NAD+ levels tend to decline as we age, so the theory behind NMN supplementation is to boost those levels back up and support cellular health.
And the research on NMN is pretty active.
Very active. Both human and animal studies are showing some interesting things. Potential improvements in sleep, physical performance in older adults, muscle function, even skin aging, metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and potential protective effects against things like heart failure and cognitive decline, at least in mouse models.
This is much more than thought.
It's a really promising area, but still needs more long-term human data.
Okay. What about omega-3s? We always hear about them for heart and brain health.
And a recent study, part of the Duo Health trial, suggested they might also play a role in slowing biological aging.
How do they measure that?
They use epigenetic clocks, biological markers that estimate biological age. In the study, a daily 1 gram omega-3 supplement was linked to slowing down that clock by about a month per year, statistically speaking.
That's fascinating.
Participants also had fewer falls and infections. And when omega-3s were combined with vitamin D and exercise, the benefits were even greater. Less pre-frailty, even reduced cancer risk in that cohort.
So how do omega-3s actually do that? What's the mechanism?
Well, the main ones, EPA and DHA, are thought to help by reducing chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, both major factors in aging. They also keep our cell membranes healthy and fluid, which is vital for cells to work properly.
And how much do we need? The study used 1 gram, but what's the general advice?
Health organizations usually recommend around 250 to 500 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily for general health. You can get that from fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, herring, or plant sources like chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts.
Good to know. Okay, shifting back to exercise for a moment. We talked about Brian Johnson's routine, including strength training. Peter Attia really emphasizes strength too, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Peter Attia talks a lot about his concept of the Centenarian Olympics.
The Centenarian Olympics? What's that?
The idea is basically to train now for the physical tasks you want to be able to do when you're, say, 90 or 100, like getting up off the floor, carrying groceries, playing with grandkids.
Training for life, essentially.
Exactly, and strength training is a fundamental pillar of that. It's crucial for maintaining function, muscle mass independence as we age.
It's really interesting seeing how these different experts approach longevity. There's overlap, but also different areas of emphasis. Peter Attia seems a bit wary of the term biohacking itself.
He does? Yeah. He's expressed that it can sometimes sound a bit misleading. He really tends to hammer home the importance of consistently nailing the fundamentals.
The basics.
Right. Regular exercise, solid nutrition tailored to you, good quality sleep. He argues that the biggest wins come from mastering those core lifestyle pillars, rather than chasing every new hack.
Focusing on the foundation first.
That seems to be his emphasis, yeah. That maybe the most effective biohack is just consistent adherence to those proven lifestyle approaches.
And it's fascinating to contrast that perspective with the Blue Zones research we looked at.
Definitely. The Blue Zones, those areas with exceptional longevity, suggest that long, healthy lives don't necessarily come from deliberate, intense biohacks.
It's more of a lifestyle thing.
It seems to be more a natural byproduct of their environment and way of life. Things like whole food, mostly plant-based diets, lots of natural movement built into the day, strong community ties.
So maybe sometimes the best approach is building a healthy environment and habits, rather than specific interventions.
It certainly highlights that perspective, doesn't it? That simple, consistent habits in a supportive setting can have a profound impact.
Okay, wow. We have covered a ton of ground today, from Brian Johnson's super detailed data-driven approach to David Sinclair's focus on supplements like NMN, and Peter Attia's emphasis on the fundamentals and
Yup.
the lessons from the blue zones.
Great
We've touched
stuff.
on cold plunges, red light therapy, fasting, specific supplements, and the absolute necessity of strength training.
We really have. It's a whole range of techniques and philosophies.
And I think it's worth saying again, while a lot of this sounds promising and people are clearly seeing results they're happy with, individual responses vary hugely.
Hugely. Which brings us back to that key piece of advice.
Talk to your doctor, please. Consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making any big changes to your routine. It's just so important.
Couldn't agree more. This journey towards a longer, healthier life, a better health span, it's complex. It's likely a mix of using science-backed interventions wisely and cultivating those sustainable, healthy lifestyle habits.
Maybe Peter Attia is right. Maybe nailing those fundamentals consistently is the ultimate biohack.
It's certainly a powerful foundation.
So, as we wrap up, maybe a thought for everyone listening. Considering everything we've talked about, potential cellular changes from cold exposure, the role of things like NAD plus precursors, the undeniable importance of movement and good food, what's maybe one small evidence-informed change you might consider exploring this week? Something to just nudge your own health span in a positive direction.
Yeah, just something small to start with. And definitely, if something resonated today, do some more research. Keep exploring this fascinating field.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That was great talk, Dr. Ari, and thank you for sharing with us your thought and expertise on different biohacking methods. And to our listeners, catch you all next time with another fascinating topic from the world of health and longevity. Stay well, stay healthy.